This week, we have a guest, and I am so excited for this because you know him from songs like You Won't Ever Be Lonely, and She's More, and She Thinks She Needs Me, and I'll Go Crazy, and Tonight I Want to Be Your Man, and the song I have been singing, I swear to God, around my house for the last week. If heaven was a pie, it would be cherry. That's right, it's Andy Griggs. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
It's so good to be sitting here in front of you. Thank you for having me on your show. I really, really, really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Because you're not going to remember this. I'm gonna. Oh
Lord.
I'm gonna see if this reminds you of anything though, because we hung out. It had to have been 2007.
Okay.
You were on Montage Music, and our friend who I've been texting with yesterday and said to tell you hello, Brad Helton.
Oh, Brad.
Brought you by.
I miss old Brad Helton.
Yeah. Brought you by the radio station to see me in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Now, tell me if this isn't, you're not going to remember this. Tell me if this picture that you autographed for me back then makes any sense to you. And I'll post this on my Facebook and Instagram as well at Jess Wright Radio so you can see what we're talking about.
Thanks for supporting OSHA. Jess, and that is my signature. Okay, so OSHA. OSHA.
Uh-huh.
Look at that kid.
Yeah, look at that baby face, right?
Yes. No, it does not make sense to me. So explain why.
I'm going to explain.
Why did I say thanks for supporting OSHA?
The only reason I remember this story is because I found this picture.
Okay.
Because it's been a long time. We were at this bar called the Woodlands in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Okay, yeah.
They had an outside
PA girl.
They had an outside deck that we were sitting at. And we were talking amongst the three of us. And there was a woman next to you who said something like, "You don't sound like you're from here. Are you from New Zealand or something?" Actually, it was Northeastern PA, so she probably said, "Are you from New Zealand or something?"
Right.
And you said, "Yes, I am from New Zealand."
I'm a New Zealand boy.
I'm a New Zealander. And she said, "What are you doing in Northeast PA?"
Okay, let me guess. I told her I worked with OSHA.
You did. It was an OSHA conference that you were in town for. And you started looking around, pointing at stuff, saying, "Yeah, they're going to need to fix that. They're going to need to fix that." And there was a creek right behind the deck, and you looked over at the creek, and you were like, "And they're going to have to clean all of that."
Yeah, that creek's got to go. Yeah, it's got to go. It's too much water coming back.
And then Brad reminded me of this yesterday when I was texting him about it, because I wanted to see if he had any pictures from that, but he said he doesn't own his BlackBerry anymore, which is dumb. And he said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure he told the lady that I didn't speak English, so I had to sit there quiet the whole time."
That does kind of sound. That does sound a little bit familiar. Because Brad's such a great guy. You know, you get so close to your radio guys.
Yeah.
You know, because they are the bridge between you and I. Like your job and my job. There's the record label promotions guy that will take you to the Pennsylvania radio stations, to the Kansas City, to all of that. So there's always that person, that man or girl that's, and you get close with them because you spend a lot of miles with them. So that's, I can see me saying, this guy doesn't speak English and we're here for the OSHA conference and we got to do something with that creek.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
And that's why when your friend and mine, Nathan, sent me the song, I was like, we got to get him back in here because I need to find out what's happening with OSHA.
Well, OSHA's fine and good. You know, I'm now the CEO.
Okay, good. Yeah. Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And I came here not just to do an interview, but to interview you
to make sure
that everything's good here on your end with OSHA. And if you're happy with where you're at, do you want to bump up a little bit? Because there is an open spot there.
Yeah.
I don't know what we would be doing.
Oh, you're going to hire me over at OSHA?
I could do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I want to talk to you about.
That's good to know. Live One bosses, I'm going to need to talk about money.
That's right. You need a new contract with them. If not, I'm going to take you and I got a seat wide open and you can just kind of oversee the Tennessee part. Okay. Now that you're a Tennessee girl.
Yeah.
You've been a Tennessee girl for 10 years?
12, something like that.
12 years. Yep. So from Pennsylvania to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I want you to run my branch in Tennessee at OSHA.
Now, of course, the home office is okay, I have family in Ruston, Louisiana.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was asking my aunt because I've heard it two different ways. Is it Monroe or is it Monroe?
Well, or if you're from there, it's Monroe, like fun, Monroe.
Yeah.
But if you're not from there, then it's Monroe, as in Bill Monroe, you know.
Okay.
That
So
kind of a thing.
that's
if you're not from there.
That's how you know I'm a Yankee, that I say Monroe and you're like, oh, she ain't from here.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
The same thing as Mississippi.
Yeah.
There's only one S in Mississippi, if you live there.
Yeah.
Louisiana's Luz.
Uh-huh.
Louisiana, not Louis.
Right.
You know, if you're from Louisiana, it's Louisiana.
Louisville.
If you're not from there, it's Louisiana.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, yeah, absolutely.
Now, do all the artists in Nashville who are from Louisiana hang out together? Like, is it you and Lainey Wilson and Kix Brooks and Jordan Davis and Trace Adkins just having a crawfish bowl and making fun of the Yankees?
Never happens.
No.
It really doesn't.
That seems weird to me.
I have thought about that from many different perspectives throughout my career, why people aren't closer than they are. It's such a competitive game.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it's so cutthroat between artists to where there's tension or anything like that, but you don't find many artists that are close outside of just working together, and you kind of have to be close and you become friends that way out on the road. But there's only a few people in my life that I've actually called a really, really, really close friend, Daryl Singletary being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to talk about music. We could call each other over prayer requests. We'd call each other over anything.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl Worley and
I was going to bring him up because I know you were just on his show.
Believe it or not, I know she was a tornado, but I had that kind of a relationship with Mindy McCready.
Really?
Yeah. So, and me and Tracy Bird, so there is that such a thing of a friendship where you can call, one artist calls another artist and says, hey, I just want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. But 99% of relationships in music is completely a friendly professional relationship. So no, you're not going to see the good old Louisiana boys over there eating crawfish together. No, it doesn't happen.
I wonder if it has become a little bit less competitive. Probably not, but I wonder if it has become a little bit less competitive now that radio itself isn't as much of a necessity, because back in the day there was radio and that was it, and that was the only way to get your music out. Right. Mm-hmm. And there was a limited number of spots on the radio station, on any given station, for your music, so you're all fighting for that spot.
That's right.
And now you can put your song out, you could put it on on any internet platform, and you're no longer really in competition.
Yeah, it's, I'm so sorry.
It's
so
for you.
Sorry. I totally forgot. And it's spam risk. How about that? Should I answer and tell them that they called the OSHA office?
Yes, you should.
Okay. OSHA office, can I help you? OSHA, can I help you? This is the CEO and president, and you're also with Jess, the VP from Pennsylvania. That's now the Tennessee chairman. Hello? Okay, spam risk hung up on me.
Well.
Okay, well, you know what? We'll get great calls.
Yeah.
I'll set us up with these great calls.
Okay, that's
no, but you're talking about how music and just everything has changed since you jumped into the business, and I did also, or somewhere right around the same time back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, it has, and you can't curse the snowball that is inevitable. You just can't do it. You got to adapt to it and roll with it. And things in your job has changed so much, and things in mine has. And yeah, you're right. You were the gate keeper. You were the Golden Gate Bridge from every singer in every little small town to you were the bridge between that to actually having a national hit on the radio.
Yeah.
There was only one place to go, and that was radio. And it's not necessarily that way anymore. And that does make things, it does open up things some, and it does make things easier. But do I miss the old days? Of course I do. I miss coming to see you in Pennsylvania and us going and having a martini and a steak, and 2 months later you add my record. Yes, I do miss those days. It was more simple and more of a line that I could understand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, so this brings me to the important question. Has it really been like 12 years since you put out new music?
It has been that long since I've had new music. I'm so excited.
We missed you.
Drought. I wouldn't say a drought. Drought is a heavy word, but I've been. It's been a little dry, and it's so refreshing. It's a cool glass of water that I'm drinking right now that I haven't had in a while.
Well, so catch us up on what's been happening since the last time we hung out. I mean, I know you've become a dad since then.
Yeah. Can you believe it? I mean, so many things can happen to you late in life, right when you hang it up and you think, man, it could never happen. It could never happen. And then life throws you, great curveballs sometimes. I was 49 years old, having my first child, my first and only kid. And my brother passed away when we were young. And I've always wanted to have a little boy that looked and acted a lot like my brother and him be named after my brother. I have fantasized about that since I was 20 years old, really since my brother passed. So here we are all these years later. I have a son now who looks and acts just like my brother. And his name is Mason. And it's just, it's odd how things like that turn out. So yeah, that is a great, great place in my life. Married a Kentucky girl, so I moved from Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Still have a place there, but we bought a place in Kentucky. So I am now I hail out of Kentucky now. I never thought I would ever say that. Not too far from Nashville, but between my relationship with her, I'm a happy and married guy and a kid, and I signed with Blue Spire Music, record label, and for the first time in my life, I had a record label that said, "Here, take it and go, do what you think. This brand is yours." So this is the first time that I've actually held all the paddles, in the boat, and musically, So we went in and started doing sessions, and the first song that we've released outside of me and Worley doing our Christmas song,
which, by the way, the two of you on Instagram.
There's never a dull moment.
That looked like there was some trouble happening wherever it was you were doing that.
Yeah, there's never a dull moment between me and Worley. I don't think there's anything dull about Worley.
No.
And same here. So yeah, that was a blast to do. Last year, a little over a year ago, he was doing a Christmas show here at Opryland and invited me to be a guest at a couple of them. And we were singing the old Buck Owens song, "Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy." Mm-hmm. Well, so fast forward about another 6 or 8 months, I signed a new record deal, and we say, well, this is the perfect time to record a Christmas song. So that's what we did. We on my project, we recorded Santa Looks a Lot Like Daddy. Had Daryl come in, and it was a blast. We cut the video in Paris, Tennessee. I don't know if you're familiar with Paris.
I know where it is.
Yeah.
It's about the end of my familiarity with it.
Hank Williams Jr. always lived in Paris, Tennessee.
Oh, no kidding.
To me, when I would think about Paris, I would think about Hank and his manager Merle Kilgore and all that. But it was turned out fantabulous, and here I am with a new single called "Why Do I Still Want You."
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because we have a feature spot on the Weekly Country 20 where we play new music. And I thought, since you're here, we would go ahead and play the new song.
I kind of like the way you think.
I know, right?
I'm not going to argue with you, Jess, on
That's
this.
how I got the big OSHA gig.
Yes.
So tell us where that song came from.
Bob DePiro wrote this song a long time ago, and under RCA Records, I was doing an album with Randy Scruggs, and we recorded this song. Don't get me wrong, I love the recording. And, Randy, bless his heart, he's no longer with us. But Randy was a great, great, great in the studio. And I'm proud of what we did, but it was never a single. Mm-hmm. RCA never released it as a single. It was just a B-side to If Heaven or something like that. Matter of fact, I think it was the B-side to If Heaven.
Was it really?
I think it was, yeah. And I was waiting on us to release that song as a single. Now, this has been a long time ago now. And it never happened. But I kept playing, me and the guys kept playing it out on the road, and it just formed, it just kind of evolved into its own different breed of a song. And it just changed a lot in the last however many years. For some reason, it just stuck with us. Mm. and it evolved with us, and it became a total different song. So when I signed with Blue Spire, one of the first things that we wanted to do, I turned around to the guys and I said, I know what we need to record. Why do I still want you? And another one of the many things special about this project is I'm not using Nashville musicians. I'm using my guys.
Nice.
And we're producing it ourselves.
Yeah.
That's kind of unheard of in the old school days. Waylon did it some.
I think Tim McGraw did it once with one of his albums with the Dance Hall Doctors.
Waylon started doing that a little bit. I think Willie did it some, but
I think that's what made them outlaws.
Yeah, that's exactly
because they wouldn't play the Nashville game.
It wasn't the cocaine. It wasn't anything like that. The outlaw
it was the avoidance of the Nashville sound.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Walking away from Chet Atkins and his producing and all of that. So anyway, we started recording. There's no one else I would rather have than my band that I've been playing with forever and ever and ever. So
you know what? That makes a lot of sense when you say that, because I was saying this song sounds like it could fit in with anything you recorded 25 years ago, but also sounds like what's being done today. And you just explained exactly why that
is. Well, thank you. Yeah, it evolved into its own top hat.
Well, we're going to play it right now. Would you like to introduce it?
Here it is. This is my brand new single. This is Andy Griggs with Miss Jess, and you're about to hear Why Do I Still Want You?
Now, most of your biggest hits before were love songs. So was it a conscious choice to say, okay, aside from the fact that this was a song you had wanted to single back in the day, was it a conscious choice to go, you know what, we love heartbreak songs too, let's go that way?
I don't know, that's tough because that's more of a record label in the old days. That's more of a record label decision because
did they put you in a box and say you're a love song guy now? Sure. That's it?
Sure. Yeah. They even told me how to do my hair and nothing. I don't have any animosity with anyone. That's just the way the system is.
Sure.
But you walk this way, talk this way. Mm-hmm. So you do become a victim of that, especially, like I said, in all of the history of music until here recently in the last 10 years or so, 8 years. But yeah, we're going to make you a balladeer. And so there was always a small struggle, an untalked about struggle between me and record label because I didn't want to be a balladeer. Mm-hmm. But I do know that sells and that that was making the most money. So it just kind of, I don't know. It's, as an artist, you're wanting to throw the dice. Mm-hmm. But as a record label, you're wanting to play it the safest you can possibly see.
They got to get that money.
Absolutely. And the first time I ever heard that Andy Griggs was the female Shania Twain, I remember that and going, holy crap, I did not move to Nashville for that.
I don't think I ever heard that.
Yeah, sure did. That was in a magazine. It was in Country Weekly. And, it had my picture there.
Well, where are they today? I ask you that.
But I remember thinking, this is the wheel that I didn't sign up for. There's a lot of spokes in the wheel that you don't sign up for.
Yeah. And now you get to do what you want to do.
Yeah, you do.
I love that.
And it's the same way in radio business. I know it is. It's, y'all, your road and my road kind of lap together and run parallel.
For sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. Now, I know you put out the music video for the song, too. Now, is that your car in the video, or did you steal that from Daryl Worley's?
No.
Daryl Worley's
Daryl wishes he had it, and I wished I had it. No, that was someone who works with the label. It was her dad is a car collector, and he showed up with that. And I thought I was going to do an old blue Mustang when we were talking, and then he showed up with that challenge, and it was like, ooh.
It's okay.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah. I'll drive that one.
Yeah. That was a cool car.
So, talking about making music for a record label back in the day versus making a music independently now, and the radio world and the music distribution world being so different now than when you were doing it back then. Like, how does it feel different? Does it feel different?
Yeah, big time, because you're not chasing the Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. I always looked at it as this huge Roman Empire that you must be a part of. You have to be in order to become successful, and when I say success, I mean to get your music out there.
Yeah.
To make a career, you pretty much have to follow the wheel of the Roman Empire. Well, that Roman Empire is no longer in existence now. So you can get away with a whole lot more. And like I said earlier, you can hold, more rein on your own boat and your own paddles instead of other folks. And I do have more say-so over my music. I realize, and this is not just a Nashville and a record label thing. This is age and wisdom also. This is what Waylon and all those guys would tell young artists coming in. There's only one CEO of you.
Yep.
I remember Waylon telling me that one time, and I didn't really get it, the depth of what he was talking about, until as I got a little older and a little bit wiser in music.
Yeah.
It's your name on that record. Do not ever back down. You're the only CEO.
That's something that I think we all, probably no matter what career you're in, you have to figure out what you're willing to accept. And then as you get older, what you're willing to accept changes, because now it's like, well, now wait a minute. Are they doing what's best for me, or are they doing what's best for them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And that's the nature of it. And you can't walk into the business with a negative attitude and look cross-eyed at companies and at the nature of the beast and the wheel that you're supposed to. You can't look negative.
No,
at that.
And they tell you we're going to make you a star, and you're like, tell me what to do.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, it's they're throwing a whole lot of monkey wrenches at you, and you're trying to catch them and throw them back, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just like your faith in God. I know people who really, really, really search God, and I know people who they are fulfilled one sermon a week in Sunday morning church, and they're completely satisfied and pacified. I know artists that way with their music. As long as the label's pushing them and keeping them in reins, they kind of let them, let that happen. And then, of course, you have artists saying, no, this is, I'm 100% calling. And I think there's a marriage somewhere in between, because, you can't let ego get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, tell that to anybody in an ego-driven business, including my side of the business.
It really is an ego-driven business, from record labels to publishing companies to artists to you guys on, radio. Oh, yeah, we're all a bunch of, it's one great big hypocrisy, but we're all in it for the love of the game, and that's music.
That's right. Do you remember your first ever, maybe even before you were signed to a deal, your first ever live performance?
Man, it was with the Sullivans. I started bluegrass. So, no, it wouldn't be. It would be with my brother's band. When my brother passed away, I was 18. By the time I was right around 20, I started his band back. And I was kind of standing in his shadows right there. So my first performance would have been in small churches, that kind of a thing with his band. And then I moved from there to playing with the Sullivans out of Alabama, who's bluegrass gospel. So bluegrass festivals and things. I was scared I had a number one hit the week. Yeah, I'm telling you right. It was Hickory, North Carolina, was my very first bar gig, and I was scared to death. And that week, You Won't Ever Be Lonely turned out to be number one. And I looked at my guys as we were driving. I had not done any hardly gigs outside of the Sullivans.
Wow.
So we were driving to some bar in Hickory, North Carolina, and I was scared to death. And my band's looking at me, who's brand new guys. And they said, you have a number one hit in
Did they pack the place out?
National radio. Oh, yeah. But I was scared. That was the first time that I played any kind of a club. And I remember stepping up on stage thinking, man, it doesn't suck to be me. This is dreams come true as far as I got a number one hit right now on this week, right now. I am the number one, You Won't Ever Be Lonely is at the top of the charts. And I don't know how to act in this bar because I've never sang in a bar. That was quite the night.
That's fun. What's your all-time favorite performance?
Man, I love your questions. It makes you think. Probably, I did some Willie Nelson stuff for a year, probably opened up 20 or 30 shows for him. And Waylon had already moved out to Phoenix from Brentwood. And I called him up, and it was Phoenix had, at that moment in time, the first rotating stage that actually did a circle. And I introduced Waylon. Of course, I cleared it through Waylon and Willie, because I wouldn't dare step on Willie's toes.
Of course.
But it was cool with all ends, and Waylon said sure, and I made sure that it went through Willie's camp. But there I was at this big Willie Nelson crowd, and I introduced Waylon Jennings. That's one of those moments, you know, the Bible even talks about having moments. That's one of those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those moments. It still rings in my ears.
Oh, that's amazing.
It still rings. The cheer, the celebration, that's what you live for. Oh, my God, that's what you live for. Waylon, I was trying to make sure that nobody could see that he was walking on a cane, so I went and grabbed him, and he put his arm around me. And we walked up to the microphone, and he kind of leaned up against the microphone. And somebody took her bra off and threw it. And Waylon, I put the bra around Waylon's neck. And Waylon looked over at me, and it's just a sea of people that had no idea Waylon was there. They're there to see Willie.
Yeah.
And Waylon looked over at me and said, "Let's get this thing going, Hoss." And yeah, I guess out of at that moment in time, I thought I can die musically.
Yeah.
There's no way to ever, outdo that. That was Mount Everest, and I climbed Mount Everest.
That's incredible. What is your favorite song to perform live?
It depends. If you put everything, in just one great big jar, the gift that keeps on giving has probably been If Heaven. If Heaven is that bittersweet black rose. It is a black rose.
Yeah.
It smells great, but it's black sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've sang that at services and funerals. And man, when the last funeral I attended was my grandmother's, and Mama had me singing If Heaven, and man, that's no easy deal. I don't care how many times I've sang If Heaven 10,000 times in my life, and every time is different. Every time is different, just because of what it means to me. So I would have to say, all in all, If Heaven would be that black rose that I always have in my mouth.
Well, that's the one I've been singing live in my house for the last at least a week.
Come on.
Okay, so I saw a video that you put up on Facebook this weekend, and you were talking about the breed of dog that you hate the most.
Yeah.
And you didn't say what it was in that video, and I think you said you were going to come back later and say it, but I didn't see the follow-up. So I was like, I got to find out what this is. Do I have to uninvite Andy Griggs to my house? Because what's
I did come back last night.
What was,
and I put one word on there. Just that's all I did. I texted one word on my Facebook.
What was the word?
Pomeranian. Man, I would rather own 3 cottonmouths in an aquarium and 2 black widows that somehow got loose in my bedroom. I'd rather have that going on than own a Pomeranian. And I'm a dog guy. How is it that some dogs can just stare at a wall and bark? Man, and that's a Pomeranian. Me and Amber were laying on the beach the other day in Florida, and I was fixing to leave to go to an Alabama show. I was fixing to kiss her goodbye and say, "Y'all enjoy. I'll see y'all in 24 hours." And I couldn't hardly do it because there was a Pomeranian right there just barking at nothing, at freaking nothing. And I thought, man, that has got to be, if the devil was a dog, it'd be a Pomeranian.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say pit bulls. That's all I...
There were some pit bulls on there.
They're the best, though.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my daddy used to have a few pit bulls. Yeah, pit bulls are great. There was a lot of Chihuahuas comments that came up.
See, that's what I thought you were going to say.
I agree with them. And you know what's worse than a normal Chihuahua? A mini. The little Chihuahuas that are as big as a coffee cup.
Yeah.
Those little guys are Satan. I mean, that's Damien's child.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Andy Griggs, I sure appreciate you being here.
I thank you for letting me just completely throw monkey wrenches in your show.
You did no such thing. Now, are you a Mardi Gras guy? Are we keeping you from Mardi Gras?
I am a Mardi Gras guy. You're not. I just flew in last night from working, so it's been a while since I do need to head on back to New Orleans and do Mardi Gras. It's been 20 years since I was there on the Mardi Gras weekend. Yeah. How many? So let me ask you this: you're familiar with New Orleans? Have you ever had a Pat O'Brien's hurricane?
No.
Yeah, she can get nasty.
Is that the reason that the thing happens with the beads then?
A lot of times, the hurricane is the first thing that makes you want to gain some beads or throw some beads. Right. Then I wondered, this year was the Super Bowl was down there.
Yeah.
How many hurricanes were sold? There's one favorite drink I have, and it is a Pat O'Brien's Hurricane and off of bourbon. And, it's been a little while, but man, I wish I could wiggle my nose and you and I would be down there right now.
That would be, I'd
be throwing you beads.
That would be.
You'd be up on the balcony and I'd be down on the street throwing you beads.
Probably true. Yeah, that would be.
You'd be dancing on your second or third hurricane. You'd be sitting there dancing, earning beads.
Yep. That's probably what would happen.
You're a long way from Pennsylvania, honey.
You're welcome, New Orleans. All right. Thank you so much for coming and playing us your new music and telling us your stories and remembering OSHA.
Yep. OSHA. That is.
Thanks for the job.
Our dream away from a dream. You give great interviews.
Oh, thank you.
I must say this. 90%, man, this is just the nature of the business. You can sit on autopilot 90% of the time you give interviews. You really can.
I try so hard not to ask the questions.
You meet that right person who asks you different questions.
Yeah. And
it makes you think and it makes you stand on the balls of your toes instead of flat-footed. And during your interviews, I never stand flat-footed. You don't give me a chance. And I admire that about you.
That is a huge compliment. That is a huge compliment. I try very hard not to ask the same questions everybody else asks.
Pat O'Brien Hurricanes coming up.
That we're going. We'll be right back. We gotta go do something.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, y'all. Catch the Live One Weekly Country 20 starting every Wednesday in the Live One app or at liveone.com.